Good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Kasumi Balachandra.
Good evening, I'm Clifford Richards. First of all, we take a look at the headlines.
The first election result is expected to be announced before the evening tea break on the 6th of August. The President states supporting the development plan of the Premier, all irrigation networks in the Kurunegala district will be reconstructed. The Prime Minister requests the people to elect strong leaders who are responsible to Parliament. The leader of the United National Party states that true UNP supporters should cast their ballot in favour of the elephant. Schools reopen for grades 11, 12 and 13 tomorrow. Kottataranga, a close aide of Markandre Madhush, arrested. The corona threat enters North Korea.
Moving on to the stories in detail. Chairman of the Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, says that the first election result is expected to be announced before evening tea break on the 6th of August. Well, a discussion on the parliamentary election was held with the participation of the members of the Elections Commission today. The discussion was also attended by the other units connected with the election process and also a professor of the Sri Lanka Medical Council as well. Speaking at a media briefing held this evening, Chairman of the Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, stated that individuals undergoing quarantine at quarantine centres and individuals undergoing self-quarantine can be given the opportunity to cast their vote on the 31st of this month. He further stated that this will be discussed at a meeting of political party leaders and an agreement will be reached. The Chairman of the Elections Commission stated that the counting of votes will commence on the 6th of August. He explained that certain districts, the counting of postal votes will begin at 7 a.m, whilst in certain areas counting will begin at 8 a.m. And he anticipates the first election result to be announced between lunch break and the evening tea break. The Elections Commission chairman observed that incidents of election violence have not been reported. However, violations of election laws have taken place at lesser level than before. He noted that complaints have been received on non-compliance with media guidelines. Explaining the process of distributing official polling cards, the chairman stated that the final date of the distribution process should be 7 days before the election day. However, when it comes to Rajangane, the distribution of polling cards will have to commence on the 28th of this month, and considering this area as a special attention, the distribution of polling cards will be underway until the 2nd of August. Chairman of the Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, stated that voters can produce their valid identity card and cast their vote, even if the official polling card has not been received. He further stated that there are no obstructions on holding the elections.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa extends full support to the plan of Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa on bringing about full development in the Kurunegala district. The President states that all tanks and irrigation networks in the district will be reconstructed for the betterment of agriculture. The President expressed these views joining in several rallies organized today to support the election campaigns of candidates contesting under the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna from the Kurunegala district. The rally in the Hiriyala area was organized by Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna candidate U.A. Sumit. At the rally, the area residents requested the President for an overhead bridge to be constructed for the Nama Langa College Stadium and for an Ayurveda hospital to be constructed. The rally organized by Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna candidate Jayaratna Herat was held at the Kurunegala Satyavadi grounds. The sportswomen attending the rally pointed out to the President the need for an indoor netball court. Minister Johnston Fernando was also present at this rally. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa also joined in several rallies in the Mathura district yesterday. Minister Dala Salahat Peruma organized a rally at the Kamprapitiya Weekly Fair premises at which the participating people put forward several requests. They emphasized on developing Kamprapitiya as a new town, granting compensation for paddy cultivations damaged by floods during the last Yala cultivation season and supporting the upliftment of cement production. The rally at the premises of the Deniyai Weekly Fair was organized by Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna candidate Veerasumana Veerasinghe, who is contesting from the Mathura district. The participating crowd requested the President to speedily complete construction work of the hospital that is being built in this area. The President also participated in a rally organised in the Hakmana Town Hall premises yesterday. The rally was organised by contestant Lakshman Yapa Abewardhana. At the rally, the residents of the area emphasised the need for a factory to generate job opportunities and also informed the President of not being issued with land title deeds. Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna candidate Niroshan Premaratna organised a rally at the Mulatiyana Pradesh Sabha grounds. At this rally, the area residents praised the President for the step taken to permit the Kidul industry. Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna candidate Saraddi Alvis organised the rally held at the Urubokka Pradesh Sabha grounds at Pascoda in Hakmana. The rally in the Akurasa town was organised by Karunadasa Kodituaku. At the rally, the President stated that steps will be taken to launch the Akurasa New Town Plan and the flood control program. Another rally was held yesterday near the bus stand along the Valigama beach. The rally was organised by Mahindayapa Abewardhana.
Leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, requests the people to elect strong leaders who can undertake responsibilities to Parliament. The Premier made this comment joining in a rally organised in the Ragala area in Nuwara this morning. The Premier, before attending this rally, visited the Sri Sariputtarama Revata Piruvena and met with the Chief Prelate of the Piruvena, Venerable Pittigala Vajrathera, and obtained blessings. Thereafter, the Premier arrived at the Sri Kadiravelayudam Devalaya at Ragala. He attended the rally after obtaining the blessings at the Devalaya. The rally was also attended by former Minister C.B. Ratnayaka. The Premier also participated in a rally held in the Nuwara town today. The rally was attended by the chairman of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Professor G.L. Peres, former Minister C.B. Ratnayaka, and candidates contesting under Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna from the Nuwara district, including Jeevan Thondaman. The Premier said that the people need to be encouraged to use more organic fertilizer to produce such fertilizer within the country. He said that his government will give priority to this requirement. He further stated that a local seeds policy needs to be prepared and high-quality seeds need to be provided to uplift agriculture, and thereafter harvesting technology has to be introduced. The Premier further stated that the storage facilities need to be provided for farmers in the Nuwara area. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, commenting on rubber cultivation in the country, stated that since a good price was not available for rubber cultivators, at times resorted to uprooting rubber trees. He added that the tyre factory is scheduled to be constructed in the Hambantota area, which will be able to purchase 35% of rubber. He also said that his party hopes to provide solutions for the housing issue faced by the estate dwellers through a new program.
එකග වෙලා තියෙනවා. වතුකරේ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් විශේෂ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් උගේ නිවාස ප්‍රශ්නය පිළිබඳව නිවාස දීමේදී කම්කරුවට විතරයි නිවාස ලබා දුන්නේ. උත වැඩ ගන්න වතුකරේ අනිත් අයට නිවාස ලබා දීමේ වැඩපිළිවෙලට සම්බන්ධ කරගන්න අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා කියන එක අපි මතක් කරන්න ඕන.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa also joined in a youth rally organised in the Nuwara area today. The rally was attended by party candidates and many youth. The Premier stated that when focusing on the youth population, the Ranasinghe Premadasa era cannot be forgotten as it was an era of terror. The Premier stated that the number of youths killed in the Nuwara district was 1,416. The Prime Minister stated that when he was serving at the Mathura courts, he counted the number of dead bodies on his way from Thangalla to Mathura, which was 28 bodies. The Premier stated that this was the history. However, he was able to end the 30-year-long war and end the era of difficulties. The Premier stated that as soon as they took over the government last November, they commenced providing jobs for graduates, but the Elections Commission has stopped the process. The Premier further stated that a program was launched to offer jobs to 100,000 youth, but the Elections Commission has stopped the large stage of process. The Prime Minister stated that it is his government that performed the majority of tasks on behalf of the youth. The Premier further stated that when the President assumed power, at the first cabinet meeting, he instructed for a program to be launched for the employment issues for the youth to be resolved.
The leader of the United National Party, Ranil Wickremesinghe, states that true UNP supporters should cast their ballot at the forthcoming parliamentary election in favour of the elephant. The UNP leader made this comment joining in a rally organised by UNP Nuwara district candidate KK Piyadasa in Hatton yesterday. The rally was held at the DKW Cultural Hall at Hatton. Leader of the United National Party, Ranil Wickremesinghe, noted that certain factors alleged that he fortified the party and had to appear before the district court and had to ultimately appear before the High Court after losing twice. However, UNP leader Wickremesinghe pointed out that the verdicts pronounced by the courts did not grant the results expected by the defectors. He noted that the verdicts remain unchanged. Elaborating on the verdict pronounced by the High Court of Civil Appeal, UNP leader Wickremesinghe stated that it is evident that the Samaga Jana Balawege is not an alliance, although the majority of the UNP Working Committee agreed on the formation of an alliance. Quoting from the appellate High Court verdict, the UNP leader elaborated that the Samaga Jana Balawege is not an alliance but a separate political party registered with the Elections Commission by the deputy UNP leader, the plaintiff and a group of party members of the UNP. He added that the Samaga Jana Balawege has put forward candidates challenging the candidates contesting under the United National Party. Commenting on statements voiced pertaining to seizing Sirikota, the UNP leader stated that since the party headquarters building is a property of the United National Party, such offenders will be handed over to the police for the law to be enforced. The UNP leader also took note of the observations in the court verdict which detailed that the plaintiff has failed to present to the court important and relevant details, and this can be regarded as a deliberate concealment of facts. In conclusion, leader of the UNP, Ranil Wickremesinghe, stated that supporters of United National Party should cast their ballot in favour of the elephant at the forthcoming parliamentary election. Leader of the Samaga Jana Balawege, Sajith Premadasa, participated in a rally organised in the Tissa Maharama area yesterday. This was the Samaga Jana Balawege leader's first visit to the Hambantota district after the setback suffered at the presidential election last November. Leader of the Samaga Jana Balawege, former parliamentarian Sajith Premadasa, noted that as part of his election campaign, he toured all electorates. He highlighted that he conducted 11 meetings in the 11 electorates of the Jaffna district. Former MP Premadasa further stated that he met with the people of all areas and therefore has a good understanding of the needs of the people. Samaga Jana Balawege leader Sajith Premadasa stated that after he secures victory at the election, the entire country will comprehend his work plan.
JVP member Nalinda Jayathis, contesting under the National People's Power from the Kalutara district, says that the national assets of the country will be sold out if UNP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe or SJB leader Sajith Premadasa comes to power. Joining a rally organised in the Parath area in Panadur yesterday, the National People's Power candidate Nalinda Jayathis alleged that the UNP leader and the SJB leader are the fathers of selling out the country. He alleged that the former regime sought to sell out Mattala Airport and the East Container Terminal and attempted to go ahead with the SOFA and MCC agreements. NPP candidate Nalinda Jayathis accused the previous regime of having a policy of selling out. And now we deviate from the local stories and take a quick look at the Corona World Update. Well, almost 40 countries have reported record single-day increases in the coronavirus infections over the past week, around double the number recorded in the previous week. The rate of cases has rapidly increased in the United States, Brazil, India, Japan, and also Australia, among the other countries. Meanwhile, the number of coronavirus infections has hit 16.2 million worldwide, while more than 649,000 people have died from the disease.
Data reveals there may be a second peak in the number of coronavirus infections in every region of the world. A Reuters tally shows almost 40 countries have reported record single-day increases over the past week. A surge in cases usually precedes a rise in deaths in a couple of weeks. It's happening in many countries that had eased lockdowns, especially among young people, many of whom celebrated the end of social restrictions at bars and parties. The United States remains hardest hit, this week passing more than 4 million recorded cases. South Korea reported 113 cases of the new coronavirus on Saturday, its largest single-day increase since March. The country's Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says a significant number of infections have been found in people arriving overseas. In Europe, where the summer vacation season is in full swing, Spain's Catalonia region reported a new daily record figure. Neighboring France had advised citizens not to travel there. In Mexico, officials also posted a daily record this week.
Pero es importante que se vea que si no cambiamos la tendencia.
The mayor of Mexico City, Claudia Sheinbaum, warned hospitalization levels by October could exceed those in June, when the country was at the height of the pandemic. The true number of both cases and deaths are almost certainly underreported, particularly in countries with poorer health systems.
And in other news, India has reported 705 more deaths and over 48,000 COVID-19 cases during the past 24 hours, taking the number of deaths to more than 32,000 and total infection cases to nearly 1.39 million as at present. Meanwhile, Australia's second most populous state, Victoria, recorded 459 cases of the new coronavirus, the second highest daily total, and up from 357 cases the previous day. In India, as many as 36,145 patients have recuperated from COVID-19 in a span of 24 hours, the highest recorded in a day, pushing the recovery rate to 63.92%. Accordingly, a total of 885,577 people have been discharged from hospitals, and the number of active cases in the country stands at 467,882. Madhya Pradesh State's Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan was tested positive for COVID-19 yesterday, becoming the first Chief Minister in the country to be infected from the disease. Meanwhile, Hyderabad's Mayor Bontu Ramohan has been directed to isolation after testing positive for COVID-19 today. Maharashtra state has recorded the highest number of cases in the country, with 366,368, reporting 9,251 cases in the last 24 hours. As India reached day 124 in coronavirus lockdown in the country, the Indian government has decided to extend the existing restrictions on limited domestic flight operations and caps on airfares till November 24th. Currently, domestic flight operations are allowed to function at 45% of their total capacity. Australia's Victoria state has recorded 10 deaths overnight from COVID-19, its highest daily toll amid a continuing surge in coronavirus cases. State Premier Daniel Andrews said the victims included 7 men and 3 women. A man in his 40s became one of the youngest COVID-19 victims in Australia. There were 459 new infections in the 21st straight day of triple-figure increases. The deaths bring Victoria's total to 71 and Australia's national tally 255. A total of 228 people are hospitalized in Victoria, with 42 in intensive care. Australia has recorded more than 14,400 cases.
And moving to Britain, the British government has indicated that travellers returning to UK from Spain after midnight will have to quarantine for 14 days. The decision came following a spike in the coronavirus cases in Spain, with more than 900 new cases of the virus reported last Friday. Spanish officials have also warned a second wave would be imminent, as major cities have seen surges in the cases.
British Foreign Minister Dominic Raab is standing by his government's abrupt decision to impose a 2-week coronavirus quarantine on travellers returning from Spain, which has provoked anger and confusion among tourists returning home from the popular holiday destination.
We're quite frustrated by it, to be honest, because it actually feels safer in Spain than what it did when we left the UK.
The measure has put the brakes on the plans of many either on vacation or planning to take one there, and also hit hard at the Spanish tourism sector just as it emerges from months of lockdowns and travel restrictions. The move to take Spain off a safe travel list was announced late on Saturday and took effect just hours later, leaving travellers with no time to dodge it or plan ahead. Emily Harrison is returning to the UK from Madrid.
I think it's really bad because it's just come all of a sudden. It's not given people much time to prepare, so everyone's now panicking, and I think it ruins plans for everybody. So yeah, I really don't agree with it. I think it's come too soon. We haven't had enough preparation.
Raab defended the decision as a real-time response to a jump in coronavirus cases reported in Spain on Friday, the latest in a month-long resurgence in infections. Spain had been on a list of countries that the British government had said was safe for travellers to visit, meaning tourists returning home would not have to go into quarantine. In addition to the quarantine, the British Foreign Ministry advised against all but essential travel to mainland Spain.
A border city in North Korea has been locked down after a person suspected to have the new coronavirus was reported to have returned from South Korea in what, if confirmed, would be the first case officially acknowledged by the North Korean authorities.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has declared an emergency and lockdown in a border city after state media reported that a person suspected of having the new coronavirus had returned from South Korea. If confirmed, it would be the first case of COVID-19 officially acknowledged by the North Korean authorities. State television KRT aired footage on Sunday of Kim presiding over an emergency Politburo meeting, at which he described, quote, a critical situation in which the vicious virus could be said to have entered the country. The report claimed that a person who defected to South Korea 3 years ago had returned to the North Korean city Kaesong, having illegally crossed the fortified border between the two countries. That person, who has been quarantined, was reported to have symptoms of COVID-19, though state media did not say if they had been tested. Officials are investigating anyone else who they may have been in contact with.
Welcome back, and now in more local stories. The total number of fully recovered COVID-19 patients in the country currently stands at 2,106. This is a percentage of 75.97. The epidemiology unit states that 7 COVID-19 positive cases were detected today, out of which 3 cases were reported from amongst persons who came into contact with COVID-19 contracted persons at the Kandakadu Treatment and Rehabilitation Center for Narcotics Addiction, whilst the other 4 cases were reported from amongst returnees from Qatar. Chief Epidemiologist Consultant Dr. Sudha Samravira observes that currently COVID-19 positive cases are being reported from amongst people undergoing quarantine, returnees from overseas who have been sent to quarantine, and inmates and the staff of the Kandakadu Treatment and Rehabilitation Center who are undergoing quarantine. He noted that no COVID contracted persons are being reported outside of these segments. Dr. Samaraviva, however, cautioned that although there is an indication that the epidemic is being contained in the country, there could be undetected infected persons in the society and the virus could spread through them. He therefore stated that in order to detect such carriers of the virus, PCR tests are randomly conducted from groups in society. Meanwhile, a runaway patient of the IDH hospital was escorted to the hospital at the Kandakadu Treatment and Rehabilitation Center today. The total number of fully recovered COVID-19 patients in the country currently stands at 2,106. This is a percentage of 75.97. The number of patients undergoing further hospitalized treatment currently stands at 660.
The FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, says that it is currently working with the World Bank to support Sri Lanka and several other South Asian nations to support the fisheries sector affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. This was stated by Manuel Barange, Director of the FAO Fisheries and Aquaculture Policy and Resources Division, at an online summit organized by FAO under the theme, "What does the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework mean for fisheries and aquaculture" recently?
This will be a very meager benefit of the COVID-19 pandemic, a pandemic that has generated an unprecedented crisis with socio-economic consequences projected to be much worse than the financial crisis of 2008. It has been estimated that 1 in every 4 jobs in the food industry is at risk as a result of COVID. And pandemics are no great levelers, as some have suggested. The pandemic does not affect all people in the same way. Densely populated, malnourished, and poor populations are more at risk of infection and unemployment and have poorer access to health and social security systems. Landlocked countries and small island development states are at particular risk to food security due to transport and border restrictions. The FAO State of Food Security and Nutrition report was released this week on Monday. A preliminary assessment suggests that the pandemic may add between 80 and 130 million people to the total number of undernourished in the world in 2020. This is the real, largely unseen side behind the glamorous new virtual world we now operate under. And this is because the pandemic has resulted in an unprecedented combination of demand and supply shocks to all segments of the food systems, including the food and the fish and seafood value chain. In this event, we will hear details on these shocks from a number of perspectives. Let me tell you very briefly how the FAO Fisheries and Aquaculture Department responded to the emergency. We set up a COVID-19 task force early in April. The task force monitors the impacts of COVID-19 on the sector around the globe, reviews COVID-19 regional reports, prepares and disseminates through our websites a number of policy briefs, question and answer documents, and works with our regional offices in preparing impact assessment surveys. You may have noted that the FAO flagship publication, the State of Fisheries and Aquaculture Report, or SOFIA for short, which was launched in June 8, had an addendum on the impact of COVID-19 on the fisheries and aquaculture sectors to that date across the supply chain. Let us not forget that the pandemic is not finished, and we may need to live with it for a long time, with countries going in and out of containment measures. It makes our work and the planning of it very difficult, but not as difficult as those suffering the consequences on their health, their jobs, and their families. In addition, we are engaging in resource mobilization efforts, currently working on proposals for Bangladesh, for Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Ghana, Malawi, Sierra Leone, Tanzania, and Uganda, with the World Bank and other national donors. The task force also coordinates the development of this virtual dialogue, bringing together representatives of the sector from all regions.
All government schools will reopen for grades 11, 12 and 13 tomorrow. The Minister of Education states that classes for these grades should be conducted from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Classes will recommence for the other grades on the 10th of August. The Education Ministry emphasizes that all students should adhere to health and safety guidelines. In addition, the principals and deputy principals of schools deployed in the election process need to be present in their respective schools on the 28th, 29th, 30th and 31st of this month. The Minister of Education notifies the respective school principals to facilitate the election process within the schools during this period in consultation with assistant election commissioners in a manner in which academic activities are not being obstructed.
A close aide of Makhandure Madush, known by the pseudonym Kotataranga, was arrested by the police in the Kesalvatta area today. But the police state that the suspect, by the name of Gamage Taranga Kumara alias Kotataranga, has been accused of various crimes. At the point of arrest, the police discovered 2 grams of heroin in the suspect's possession. Meanwhile, the Colombo Central Crimes Division has uncovered a narcotic pills racket operated by a five-star hotel in Colombo. Arrests were made in this connection during a raid carried out by the intelligence unit of the Central Colombo Crimes Division. Police media spokesman SSP Jali Senoratna states that 5,600 narcotic pills were seized by the police, and it is revealed that a pill had been sold for prices ranging from 2,500 to 5,000 rupees. He further states that the transactions have taken place through prison inmates. Well, the police media spokesman said that it has been revealed that the latest tactic is to import narcotic pills and other narcotic substances through courier. SSP Senoratna further stated that investigations will be conducted in the days ahead on the supply. On illegal action will be taken as well. Meanwhile, a group was arrested by the police for organizing a motorcycle race in a risky manner along the Jaliagoda road between Piliyantala and Kasbawa. The race has been organized via Facebook. 39 participants were arrested along with 24 motorcycles. And moving on, the annual feast of the St. Anne's Church, Cheku Street in Colombo 13 was celebrated today. The hoisting of the flag took place on Friday, 17th of July, after which preparatory novenas were conducted on the days leading to the feast under the direction of parish priest Reverend Father Anandan Pulle. The festive High Mass was celebrated at 8 a.m. this morning, after which the faithful were blessed with the statue of St. Anne.
The second Kumbal Perahara of the Kandiasala pageant paraded the streets this evening. Steps were taken to conduct the Perahara adhering to health and safety guidelines without the participation of devotees. The Perahara commenced at the auspicious time at 6:44 p.m. this evening. The Perahara that emerged from the main doorway of the Sri Dalandar Maligava proceeded along Dalandar Vidya DS Senanayaka Street and returned to the temple of the Tooth Relief from Rajavidya.